So I get this question asked me quite a bit. The difference between what I do and what modern medicine or medical doctors do. Um, Medical doctors are always referred to as healthcare providers, and I don't think they should be referred to that way. Um, the reason I say that is because, first of all, the vast majority of people will tell you that the fewer synthetic chemicals, pharmaceuticals you're on, the healthier you are. So the less drugs you're taking, the healthier you are. The other thing is that we always talk about how we disagree on everything. People don't actually disagree on healthcare. Almost everybody agrees exactly on healthcare. And just I'll give you some examples. Do you feel like if you get a great night's rest, right, plenty of deep sleep, plenty of REM, the right amount of hours, that you feel better the next day? The vast majority of people will be like, yeah, if I get good sleep, I feel better the next day. All right, cool. Is there foods that if you ate them, you would feel worse versus foods that you eat and you feel better? Or like, like, man, like if I drink a bunch of alcohol and I eat a bunch of donuts and stuff like that, like for a couple of days, I feel like crap. But if I eat like normal food, like I feel pretty good. So if that's the thing. And you're like, yeah, I notice that the things I put in my mouth actually affect the way I feel. Then, all right, yeah. And if, we can all agree that, exercise and movement is pretty much significantly beneficial to our health. We feel better when we exercise and stuff like that. We can, agree on that. And if you look at it and you go, having your hormones balanced, not being hormonal, is generally better for the way you feel and the way you act and the way you move. If we can kind of all more or less agree on those things, then that's what I'm talking about. That's healthcare. How you sleep, what you eat, so your nutrition, your supplementation, that type of thing, exercise, hormones, and obviously, we'd all consider psychological health, part of healthcare. Well, when was the last time that when you went to your medical doctor, you talked about your deep sleep, your REM sleep, that they walked through your exercise routine with you and made some tweaks to help benefit that? Went through your diet, nutrition, and kind of looked at it and made sure that, the macros you were eating were best for you, and, getting some of the synthetic chemicals out, maybe making some alterations to when you're eating, or, the types of foods you're eating that best fit your body type and your body function. Or went through, and checked your hormones and went through those properly and explained how you're doing, and asked you, hey, your testosterone's here, your estrogens are here. How do you feel, through the day? When was the last time that your doctors went through that with you? Your medical doctors went through that with you. If they're not going through those things that we've all agreed are important to your actual functional health, and they're just, oh, you have this symptom. Like if you want to talk about sleep, like, oh, you don't sleep well. Well, here's a pill. Here's a Lunesta. Here's a Ambien. Not a, well, have we done a sleep study? Have we looked at your REM? Have we looked at your deep? Have we discussed sleep habits? What you're doing beforehand, your sleep hygiene, if you will. If they're not doing that, they're just selling you drugs. They're not providing health care. They're not making you healthier. If they're not actively trying to help you get off of pharmaceuticals, get off of synthetic chemicals, they're not increasing your health. They're increasing your dependence upon pharmaceuticals because they're drug salespeople. Now, I'm not saying all of them are. There's a lot of great functional medicine docs who are really helping people get off, clear up their diabetes, get off, their SSRIs, get off a list of their pharmaceuticals and get them healthier. So functional medicine docs, medical docs are great and they're doing a great job. But my question is, if we know that things that create health are over here and our medical profession is over here not doing those things but selling drugs to cover up the symptoms, are they really providing health care or are they selling drugs? It's an honest answer. I'd like to hear everybody's opinion on that, because like this is where we are. If we want to look at our society and be like, why are we all so sick? Why do we not have the health we want? And we recognize that sleep and what we eat and our hormones and our exercise and our psychological stress are the things that create health. But the people we're going to provide us healthcare are not addressing and dealing with these lifestyle functional things. Why are we calling them healthcare providers? Because they're not providing healthcare. They're not providing the things that derive and yield health. They're giving you things that end up leading to more drugs. The vast majority of the time, if you're on pick your medication, SSRI, your statin, your Wellbutrin, whatever is your long-term drug, there's a higher chance you're going to end up with a secondary or tertiary drug because of the side effects or whatever of the primary drug than there is that you're going to get off of these long-term medications. So if you have somebody who's not doing the stuff that's health and setting you up for more drug sales later in your life, again, where are we at with this healthcare thing? So that's kind of the whole thing. So if you keep going to your doc and you keep getting more drugs and you feel less healthy, you might want to find somebody who's actually providing healthcare. Find a functional medicine doc. Find somebody who actually works with the physiology and the metabolic function. Find somebody who's doing stuff with hormones and exercise and diet. Because again, we've all agreed, these are the things that make you healthy. So find somebody who's going to help you with this. This is oftentimes what I tell people. A good personal trainer is a much, much, much better provider of healthcare than your pharmaceutical sales rep or your medical doctor. So I'm not trying to bag on anybody. I'm just trying to bring up the idea that if we want health, we should probably go to the people who are delivering the things that we are associating with health, not the people who are delivering the things that we literally are associated with being further from health. Because again, if you consider fewer pharmaceuticals, more health, then you're going to go away from the people who are giving you pharmaceuticals. So just a thought, I'd like to know what you guys think about it. But anyway, you guys have a fantastic day.